Hey guys, Ocean Communications back again. This time with part 4 of my VHS collection. Um, Definitely more where that came from, but I know it's been a while since I did one, and I thought it might be a fun thing to do. And so anyway, here we go. Let's get started, shall we? Start with a movie that I picked up most recently, one I've actually been wanting to see. This is a film that's only on VHS for as far as I know. I first heard about it on a blog article I saw online, and the film is called Warlords from Hell. Well, that's a pretty cool title, isn't it? Warlords from Hell. And here's the bit of the plot. The film was released in 1985, and disguised as clerics, two young Americans slip unsuspected into a sleepy Mexican village. Peace be with you, says the pseudo-priest, although he's secretly armed for war. He and his lovely accomplice, her curves hidden by the nun's habit, are ready to spring their pals from the slave camp of warlords from hell. Those pals are Hal, played by Jeffrey D. Rice, and Kirk, played by Brad Henson. Dirt bikers who come south of the border for some hot ride. Instead, they cross paths with the warlords, hell-bent sickos who are rough, tough, and ready. Ready to push aside their vixens, beer belch fests, and balado biker games so they can harvest a drug crop. And rough enough to turn Hal and Kirk into the kind of labor-slaving devices rot-souled oppressors have been always preferred. Slaves. Nobody writes descriptions like Warner Home Video. I mean, this is comic gold. Like, what? Who writes these? Crammed into the sweltering hot box during their networking hours, Hal and Kirk smuggle out a desperate SOS, and their stateside biker buddies, played by Mark Marion and Charlotte Elming, hit the road, and when they get the message, and you can guess what hits the fan. Not since Easy Rider and Electric Ride and Blue have bikers had a film that they could call their own. With Warlords from Hell, you've got a ticket to ride. A biker film nobody really talks about. And I'll see if it's for good reason or not soon enough. So that's Warlords from Hell. The fuck is this doing here? Turbulence! Yeah, I don't need to talk about this movie. I ranted on this fucking thing already. That's my feelings on that fucking thing. So I don't need to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. Fuck that movie. Here's something. Ninja Terminator. This is one of those awful Godfrey Ho flicks, I think. No, it says it's directed by Lomar, but it's probably a pseudonym for Godfrey Ho. This movie, I have a feeling this movie is crap, but it was like really cheap. So, just like this ninja who looks really cheap, just as cheap as a movie probably is. The Blacklists, an honorable gang of holy ninja warriors, holy ninjas, is out for revenge as the leader's bride is murdered by the rival, the warlord of China's mafia underworld. The ruthless and violent enemy is Qua Tong, who originally framed the Blacklist leader for a murder he didn't commit. The Blacklist leader, now called the Ninja Terminator, will stop at nothing to avenge the death of this woman and nail the man who framed him. Epic ninja adventure with non-stop brutal fight scenes filled with action, intrigue, and mystery. All of those words are probably lies, according to this, in regards to this flick. Here's another one of those TV movies. I think maybe Showtime showed this. It's a film called Duplicates. And I got this because it's a while back, because it actually kind of looked like it might be interesting. Someone stealing the past to destroy the future. And this stars Gregory Harrison and Kim Greist. And Cicely Tyson has a special appearance. Lane Smith is also in it. And Kevin McCarthy has a bit role as well. It's directed by Sandor Stern. And Sandor Stern, he's the guy who wrote a lot of those Amityville books, if I remember correctly. Bob Boxletter, played by Gregory Harrison, and his wife Marion, played by Kim Greist, are trying to pick up the pieces of their marriage after the disappearance of their son Joey and Marion's brother Brian. But the ghosts of the past return when the Ohio couple spots Marion's brother in a New York restaurant. When confronted, Brian claims he doesn't recognize them and disappears into a crowd. Bob dismisses the sighting as an uncanny resemblance, until a child looking exactly like Joey is seen with another set of parents. Soon Bob and Marion begin to uncover clues leading to a far-reaching conspiracy involving the transfer of human memories to computer banks. The end result, duplicate entities, programmed to carry out the whims of their creators. And for Bob and Marion, the realization that they may have become what they fear the most. So, yeah, Kevin McCarthy has a bit role, and Kevin McCarthy was also in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Just an interesting idea. Really a really cool idea. Yeah, it's written by Sandra Stern and Andrew Niederman, so I'll definitely give this a look sometime. Duplicates. I just like that idea. You know, it's clever. I thought the idea of transferring memories to computer banks and creating pretty much clones of whoever they might want to create clones of whatever whoever, and nobody's off limits. And that's pretty terrifying, to be honest. It gets to the point where you don't know who's who. Almost like a little bit better Godson, that movie. Anyway, here's another one called Man in Uniform. This one actually is. I thought one of the actors. No, it's. I'm thinking of a different movie. But I got this because it looked interesting. The Man in Uniform. What is what is it like to slowly lose your life and become somebody terrifying? Henry Alder is about to find out what his darker side looks like in this award-winning brutal thriller. You can't imagine what can happen when your fantasy goes too far. And it's not much of an info, but I just haven't seen it yet. But the reason why, it's got Tom McCamus, Bridget Bacco, David Hemblin, and Kevin Teig, the villain who was in Roadhouse. And it's written and directed by David Wellington. And original music by Ron Schurz and the Tragically Hip. But I believe I saw a trailer for it. I think that's why I wanted to check it out. And I believe that's Kevin Teig who plays the cop there. And or it's not. I think it's the same guy. It's the lead guy. It's not Kevin Teig. It's Kevin Teig just plays one different role. Tom McManus, I think, plays that character. Yeah, it's pretty much like a cop drama, about a cop who loses it and goes a little bit nuts. So I'll give it a look sometime, Man in Uniform. Here's one. This is one of the longest titles I can think of. The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Yep, the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. And this is based on I think it's based on a true story of the 1930s black elite baseball league, and it's got Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, and Richard Pryor. And man, I got it because I remember reading about it, and I think it might be on DVD, but I don't know for sure. But also, I mean, the title alone. I mean, the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Anyway. It's the bad world of the 1930s Black League Baseball as a spirited group of independent renegade players travel around the Midwest looking for that big home run. Richard Pryor, Billy D. Williams, and James Earl Jones stars three barnstorming ball players who take on their own league's unfair rules as they steal cars, food, and home base, anything to keep their pitching and catching the best and boldest. It's a showdown of brains over booby traps and sportsmanship over racial segregation as Bingo Long's All-Stars swing their way to a winning season. The film was executive produced by Barry Gordy, produced by Rob Cohen, and it's directed by John Badham, and based on a book by William Brashler. And John Badham, he directed a lot of stuff. John Badham actually directed the 1979 Dracula, and mainly got it for the cast: James Earl Jones, Billy D. Williams, and Richard Pryor. And I've seen trailers for this, and the character that James Earl Jones plays is kind of a goof right there. That James Earl Jones in the middle with this picture right here. If it'll clear up, stop being so blurry, you'd be able to see it better. There we go. That's James Earl Jones with the sideways cap. So that's the Bingo Lone Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. It's a comedy. It's not really a drama, even though it kind of makes it sound like it might be a drama. Speaking of comedies, here's a fun comedy, Nothing to Lose, with Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins. I don't really need to talk about the plot in the back. It's just a fun flick. I'd like to get this on DVD. Fun movie. Good good chemistry between the two, Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins, and one of my favorite Martin Lawrence flicks. Nothing to Lose. There's another flick called Eye of the Wolf with Jeff Fahey. I mainly got it because I'm a big fan of Jeff Fahey. He's like one of those actors that seems like no matter the budget, no matter what, he seems to deliver a really solid performance. And crossing the Ford frozen Northland on his sled in 1912, government zoologist Paul Wayman, played by Jeff Fahey, stumbles upon a disturbing sight. A snarling creature, part husky and part wolf, stands guard over the bloody corpse of a Canadian Mountie. It becomes apparent to Wayman that this was the result of a murder with only one witness, the wolf. Wayman decides to take the wolf with him and return to civilization. Upon their arrival, the wolf recognizes and attacks the murderer. Local Mountie Sergeant witnesses the attack and wants to execute what he sees as a wild beast. Now it's survival of the fittest, as Wayman must fight to save the wolf and himself from nature's cruelest villain, man. It might be something really just cheap and kind of lame, but I like the idea of it, that the wolf is the only witness, and Jeff Fahey is trying to take it to safety, and then the wolf finds the murderer, and now the murderer is going after him and the wolf. So, yeah, I'll definitely give it a look sometime. That's Eye of the Wolf. It's Jeff Fahey. Here's a film I haven't seen in years, but I like. Jack, with Robin Williams. This is considered one of Francis Ford Coppola's worst. It's such a terrible movie. Nostalgia Critic did a rant on it. Like he does a lot of, but it's not like everything he reviews, everyone agrees with him. I definitely don't agree with everything he reviews, his views with all of, every movie that he reviews, but there's a good amount of them that I agree. Jack, though, for some reason, I've always liked this movie. I think Robin Williams does a really good job as his character. I think the direction is good. I even like the Bryan Adams song, Star. It's like, what you gonna, who you gonna be when you grow up? What you gonna do when the going's tough? Or something like that. I don't remember the exact. I thought it was an endearing movie, and it pretty much is a kid's film, and I didn't agree with some of the people's the Nostalgia Critics criticisms or the other stuff. I thought it was fun. I remember watching it as a kid, and I thought the ending was really. A lot of people criticized the ending. I thought the ending was well done. I thought it was really tragic, and for such a kind of over the ridiculous idea of a man who's pretty much. He's a 10-year-old who acts like any other boy his age, except he's got a grown-up body, and that is really sad. And I thought it was handled pretty well. That by the time he graduates college, he's an old man, and by the time that we all of us are finally going out on our own, and when we graduate college, we have a whole lifetime ahead of us, and he just has a few more moments left to live. And the ending is so sad, and I do remember tearing up at the end of this movie. I haven't seen it in a while, and I also remember memories about this movie is that we had this movie in VHS, and then one of my relatives, I think my cousin, he borrowed it, and then we could never find our Jack, our copy of Jack. And so we still hadn't found our copy, and I had to eventually buy one myself. So I was like, where is Jack? And it was a whole sort of in-joke between me and my family. It's like, oh yeah, I think our cousin stole Jack. I think I think they have Jack now. So anyway, this Jack. I will watch that again sometime, actually. Another film I grew up with that I haven't seen in years is this, Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. I haven't seen this and the sequel since I was like 8 or 10, or I haven't seen this in a long time. And I grew up with this one. I remember really liking this one. I know there's a lot of people, kids in the 90s, who remember this one. This is, even Siskel and Ebert liked it. Takes a pretty absurd idea. It's a remake, I believe, an older movie. And this is the one that Disney did where you had the voices of, um, wasn't it Michael J. Fox? Yeah, Michael J. Fox was based on a book by The Incredible Journey, and Michael J. Fox was one of the voices, and there were a few other actors. Um, was it Robert Hayes and Kim Grice? Anyway, yeah, Michael J. Fox played the voice of, I believe, the white dog there, and it's the whole thing where, you know, dogs rule, you know, cats rule, dogs drool. You know, it's. I haven't seen this in years, so I just remember this being a fun, heartwarming flick. Where the whole idea is that these pets, they get separated from their owners, and they end up searching for their owners because I think their owners moved away, and they go on looking for them. The adventure begins when the long-loving owners, these irresistible pets, are forced to leave them in the temporary care of a friend who lives 100 miles away. But after several days, the worried animals begin to think their family must be in trouble, so they decide to head for home. On their incredible journey across the ruggedly beautiful Sierras, encounter unexpected surprises from man, beast, and nature alike. The porcupine, bear. It's an unforgettable story of love, courage, and devotion that will delight inspire generations to come. I just remember catching this all the time on TV and watch the VHS. And good memories of this flick. And, yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of joy is probably pretty true to this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, though. But I remember really, really great photography for this one. Here's another fun movie I grew up with, Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Vacation. This is finally on DVD, but when I bought this, it wasn't, so I'll just keep this. It's fine with me. I love Tiny Toons. I'm just going to say it. I still love Tiny Toon Adventures. This is one of my all-time favorite cartoons. I like Tiny Toon Adventures even more than the Looney Tunes cartoons. I grew up with the show. I enjoy the show immensely. You know, that and Freakazoid and the Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond. Tiny Toons is right up there as one of my all-time favorite cartoons. I really, really love this show. And I have the DVD of the first 2 seasons in Oklahoma in storage. But I'd like to get, you know, them again. And complete, you know, have the actual complete collection. But I enjoyed this. This is a fun flick. This is a fun one. This is the Tiny Toons movie, and I was surprised it wasn't released in theaters. It was only a TV special, or was released direct to video, and yeah, it was a feature-length video movie. But it was better than a lot of theatrical films. I mean, Bebe's Kids came out in theaters, and this didn't come out in theaters, and that's really, really too bad. But anyway, yeah, a lot of fun. If you're a fan of the show, you'll love this movie. They take an event, you know, they go to Wacky World, and I think it's Wacky World. I think that's what it is. Happy World Land. So yeah, so that's Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Vacation. Night of the Cyclone, Chris Christopherson movie. Probably a piece of shit. They're like a lot of movies that I get, and no, I did not pay $4 for this. The basic gist of the plot is on an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger, unite in a blistering tale. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger. Okay, there we go. On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger, unite. Wait a second. On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger, unite in a blistering tale. Wouldn't it be? On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger. What the? This doesn't make any sense. On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger, unite. What should it be like on an island? Pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger unite. There should not be an of here. This is an improper sentence. This shows how shit. Shows you how much the Republic Pictures cared about this movie. That starts off with a fucking improper sentence. On an island of pleasure, decadence, desire, and danger unite in a blistering. It's like on an island, pleasure, decadence, danger, and desire. Decadence, desire, and danger unite in a blistering tale of big city cop and his rebellious daughter were trapped in the eye of a tropical storm. That's how it should have read. Who put the of here? Does this person not speak English? or write English. Lieutenant Stan Wozniak, played by Chris Christopherson, arrives at a lush island paradise to bring his daughter Angelique home from a modeling assignment. Instead, he finds her in a passionate affair with Adam, played by Jeff Meek, an artist plagued by dangerous connections and a cloudy past. When Stan becomes involved with a beautiful French woman, played by Marissa Berenson from SOB, he soon discovers that underneath this playground is for the idle rich lie undercurrents of manipulation and murder. While a violent hurricane gathers forces on the horizon, jeopardy and deceit escalate until Stan is forced into the final confrontation that could prove even deadlier than the oncoming storm. Well, if the people who produced this movie couldn't write a proper sentence when it didn't start off their description with a proper sentence structure, I don't have much hope for this movie. But we'll see. Don't have hope. Not a lot of it. This is one of the movies that I got from this guy off Craigslist. He had a bunch of tapes. And this is not Jimbo and Sharon's movie. Jimbo and Sharon's movie. No, this is my movie. Fuck you, Jimbo and Sharon. This is my movie now. And this is Batman the Animated Series tape of monsters. So it just collected a couple episodes of dealing with monsters. Like Man, That, and Killer Croc, I believe. And I think there was like another one. But yeah, so it had like Man, Bat, and Killer Croc on it. And it's Batman the Animated Series, so it was really cheap. So we're going to turn that down. This one, I don't know if this is on DVD yet. If it isn't, it should be. This is actually a pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty good one. A pretty fun, kind of throwback to, kind of like an Indiana Jones, Remo Williams type movie. Jake Speed, starring Wayne Crawford and John Hurt. Jake Speed is a real hero, the kind of guy who's always there to fight for justice when the cause is hopeless. A modern-day knight in shining armor. A sort of John Wayne, Robin Hood, and Lone Ranger all rolled into one slightly flawed and cocky package. But he's a fictional character who's existed only in the pages of paperback adventure novels. That is, until now. Jake Speed and his sidekick Des are on a new mission, to save a kidnapped girl from the greedy clutches of the evil white slaver Sid Wigway. But in the process they are caught in the middle of an all-out revolution, hounded by machete-wielding henchmen, captured by the diabolical Wigway, and surrounded by a general hair-raising pandemonium. It's all they can do just to stay alive. But as Jake says, if you believe strongly enough in something, anything can happen. Jake Speed is a fast-paced and frantic adventure where the action is non-stop and the danger is real. Yeah, Dennis Christopher is also in this, as well as Karen Copins. Wayne Crawford also helped write the screenplay. He also produced it. One of the producers, and directed by Andrew Lane. I had fun with it. If you like stuff like Flash Gordon 1980, if you had fun with the King Solomon's Mines remake with the 1980s, I think it's 1986, the 80s King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain, you probably enjoy this movie. Remo Williams, entertaining, fun 80s flick. A little bit corny, but the good kind of corny. So that's Jake Speed. See, he's trying to be Indiana Jones with the fun, of course, in a lot of movies. Go from Jake Speed to pretty random transition here. The Big Dollhouse. I got this because it was cheap, and this is actually a film that was directed by. This was directed by Jack Hill. Well, I got it because, well, it's a women in prison film. It's hot. No, I got it because it was really cheap, and it's a Roger Corman classic, and I like these. I'll just because I have another one. I have another one that has the same sort of plot line with women in prison. Sexy young women struggle against a sadistic warden. Shocking and violent, this film is perhaps one of the most influential of all women in prison films. This one's got Pam Grier in it, and it's got a chick with guns. So she's got some big guns there. So I'll give it a look sometime. I don't know when, but I got it because it was cheap. Big Dollhouse. More random transitions. This time, VHS, A Police Squad. This is the show that was, Frank Drebin before, the actual movie Police Squad. Before The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad came out. And this was not a hit. This show was not a hit. and this collects the first 3 episodes. So I got 3 episodes of the show here, and there weren't that many episodes. So you have episode 1, A Substantial Gift, episode 2, Ring of Fear, and episode 3, Rendezvous at Big Gulch. So yeah, Police Squad, the show that was Naked Gun before Naked Gun. Here's a childhood favorite. I don't love as much, but I can still watch it. I can still watch this movie. Rookie of the Year, with Thomas Ian Nicholas, and only the Cubs would be that desperate to hire a kid who broke his arm and is throwing really fast pitches now. It's absurd. It's a really silly idea, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun flick. I liked it a lot more as a kid, but as an adult, I can still watch it. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I can watch movies like this that deal with baseball, and I just thought it had a good heart to it. That's pretty much. And I thought the casting was pretty good, and the performances. Thomas Ian Nicholas was good. Gary Busey was good in the role he had. He's playing a pitcher, Asian star pitcher. I thought the actress who played his mom did a good job as well. Daniel Stern was fun in the little bit that he had. And Daniel Stern also directed this, and I thought he did a good job. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say I like Angels in the Outfield more than Rookie of the Year, but as for kids baseball comedies go, it's the second best, and it's decent enough. The whole scene where he's taunting the other baseball players I have fun with, it's like nah, 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 so he can steal a base. It's so stupid, but I laugh at it. I'd also probably say in terms of kids sports comedies, definitely Mighty Ducks. The first 2 are better than this, and I'd even say Little Giants is better, but it's still a decent one. I'd say this is a lot better than Little Big League. Little Big League was a disappointment, even as a kid, and even as an adult, it was a disappointment. That one was just not much of anything. So that's Rookie of the Year. Go from Rookie of the Year to Bloodfist. Don the Dragon Wilson. This is the first Bloodfist. I think I only have the first Bloodfist. Yeah. This is the one that started Don the Dragon Wilson's career. This is one where I remember a trailer was all cream in the pants over how many karate champions were in this movie. Directed by Terrence H. Winkless, who directed The Nest, a film I really enjoy. Don the Dragon Wilson is in it. Rob Kamen, Billy Blanks, and Chris Aguilar. The fight scenes are good. Storyline, not the best, but the fight scenes are good. Actually, the storyline's not that bad either. For what it is, it's actually pretty good for a low-budget martial arts flick. One of the better ones. I don't think it deserved 20 sequels, but it's still a pretty good flick. So that's Bloodfist. This one is one that I have on DVD, so I don't need this VHS anymore. So I'll get rid of this double, but I'll just talk about it because I think it's a pretty underrated sequel. Scanners 2: The New Order. This cover sucks. What the hell? It makes it look like a Terminator sequel. This is not a Terminator movie. It's not a Terminator franchise. This guy isn't in the movie. Who the fuck is this guy? Is this Rick Rossovich? Who the fuck is this? It's not in the film. This is not the Terminator. This is not Terminator 2. It's Scanners 2. Scanners aren't robots. But anyway, yeah. Christian Duguay directed it. Once again, I think it's underrated because I think it's a really solid sequel. I think it's better than the first film. But once again, I would say it's my favorite Scanners movie. And but it's brought down from being truly great because the lead kind of sucks at acting. So once again, you have shitty leads who can't act in these Scanners movies. No, Scanner Cop is the one I like the most. This is probably the second best. But it's decent. It's just the lead can't act. But anyway, Scanners 2: The New Order. So I'm glad to have a DVD. Get rid of that VHS. Here's a flick called Specimen, which is low budget Species kind of rip-off, pretty much rip-off, but with a dude before Species 2. 24 years ago, they came from space to plant a seed in the womb of Carol Hillary. Now they're back to reclaim their own. When a mysterious alien presence shatters the calm, sleepy Spruce Lake, Mark Hillary must face the aliens that created him. His supernatural powers are no match against the enemies surrounding him in the showdown of a lifetime. And Mark Paul Gosselaar is in this. Yep, that Mark Paul Gosselaar from, I believe it's the same guy from, it's Mark Paul Gosselaar, isn't that the same guy from Saved by the Bell, I think? Could be completely wrong, but I think it's the same actor. Doug O'Keefe, Andrew Jackson, David Newman, Michelle Johnson is also in it. John Bradshaw directed it. It's written by Damian Lee, produced by Damian Lee, who did Abraxas. This is better than Abraxas, but it's a pretty... I like the idea of it. You know, where you have this alien guy, kid who grew up, he didn't know he had all these powers, and now he figures them out. And now the aliens come home and they want to take him, or they want to take over the world, or whatever. And he's the only one that stopped them. I like that idea, but the effects are so horrible in this. This is one of those movies where the special effects really do hurt the film. So that's Specimen. And then the last few are just more randomness, like Howard Stern's Private Parts. Good, it's a really good flick. I'm surprised he didn't do any more movies. I thought it was a really good one. Not Fart Man. That was a dumb idea he had. I'm glad that didn't happen. This is based on his bestseller. Well acted, well performed, interesting, funny movie. Private Parts. There's another comedy that. This isn't really a comedy. This is a. This is a mystery, and it's a pretty good one. Based on the bestseller by an author of the same name, Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer also wrote the novel The 7% Solution, and the idea of Sherlock Holmes meeting Sigmund Freud is pretty interesting. And Nicole Williamson, who I remember most as Merlin from Excalibur, plays Sherlock Holmes and does a pretty good job of it. And Alan Arkin plays Sigmund Freud. And one of his more underrated roles that he's done in his career. And Robert Duvall does a good job as Watson. Yeah, Robert Duvall plays Watson in this movie. And it's Nicholas Meyer's directorial debut, I believe. Yeah, he directed this film as well. I remember, no, Herbert Ross directed it. But it's based on Nicholas Meyer's novel, which I think he made a reference to in Star Trek 2. Anyway, the world's two greatest masters of the art of deduction, Sherlock Holmes and Sigmund Freud, meet for the first time in this delightful mystery adventure based on the best-selling novel by Nicholas Meyer. The stylishly directed entertainment boasts a superb cast headed by Nicole Williamson as Holmes, Alan Arkin as Freud, and an example of offbeat casting Robert Duvall as Dr. Watson. And it really is a really offbeat bit of casting. And to this ingenious tale of detection, addiction, and abduction must be added the excitement of the chase, capped by a sword fight on top of a puffing locomotive roaring across Europe. I remember the sword fight being well choreographed and good stunt work in that one. So, 7% Solution. And then we got Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. See, I'm not that familiar with Bruce Lee as a lot of my other friends are, so I really wasn't that disappointed by the flick. I liked it. I thought it was pretty well done. Tale of, the although the kind of thing with the spirits of the samurai, whatever, evil spirits that his family was cursed on were kind of really, really honestly lame. But the fight scenes were good. Fight choreography was good. Jason Scott Lee, I think, did a good job. Decent direction by Rob Cohen. Lauren Hawley was okay. But overall, good movie. I think it's a little bit underrated. I don't know if people talk about this movie in the top of, and, for Bruce Lee, like I said, I'm not as familiar with Bruce Lee. I've only seen Enter the Dragon once, and I haven't seen any of his other movies, so I'm more familiar with Brandon Lee than I am with Dragon. Than I am with Bruce Lee, the Dragon. But I think I remember when I first saw this VHS when I was a kid, I thought it was about Don the Dragon. I thought it was about either Don the Dragon Wilson or it was about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. It was like, it's the dragon, the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat story. No, I mean, because where I went to rent VHS, they were like this, and I just see dragon, or I just see dragon from afar away, and I'd be like, oh, is it about Ricky the Dragon No, it's not. Oh, it's Bruce Lee, and I'm like, who's Bruce? As a kid, I didn't know who Bruce Lee was. I'm sorry, I didn't. So I'm still figuring out. I'm appreciating Bruce Lee. I need to get my hands on that Enter the Dragon special edition and maybe a few other of his flicks if I can find them cheap enough. But if I can't, hey. But I know about Bruce Lee now. He's a legend. He's a martial arts legend. And I've seen Enter the Dragon. But, I'm not the biggest, expert at all. I'm not even an expert. I am an observer of Bruce Lee. Here's the other Twilight movie with good cast. Paul Newman, Susan Sarandon, Gene Hackman. This is a film that flopped. And saw the trailer. Looked like it might be kind of interesting. But then again, kind of looked kind of boring. But, Stockard Channing's also in this as well as Reese Witherspoon. So that's the other Twilight. That's not about gay, sparkly vampires. Twilight. And then I'll end this with this installment with another movie I haven't seen in a long time. Haven't seen since I was really young. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Which had the voices of Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. It was a Don Bluth flick. I remember liking it. I remember having a good heart to it. I remember it being fun. I remember the animation being really good. I remember it being... Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise had chemistry, even as animated characters, which makes total sense because those two are just two peas in a pod. They're so great together in anything that they do. And remember it being pretty dark, too, for a rated G movie. Kind of dark in its approach. That's All Dogs Go to Heaven. I haven't seen the sequel. I don't believe I've ever seen the sequel, and I've heard it's pretty bad, so probably won't even, I won't even probably waste my time seeing the sequel unless I review those movies, which I don't know if I ever will. But maybe I will someday if I do animated movies. But anyway, thanks for watching this installment of my VHS collection. Stay tuned for more parts, and I will see you guys later. See ya.